You've heard the stories, seen some of the videos probably. I've seen some horrible things that aren't even something we could share on television here. Hamas terrorists raping Jewish women next to civilian carcasses of children having their heads cut off. Jewish Holocaust survivors getting murdered. And yet far-left academics and students do not care. In fact, worse, they cheer for it. Reactions in the United States and the Western world of the horror in Israel reveal the less moral failings. To come to grips with the extent and depth of anti-Semitism in America's higher education. Professors and students alike celebrating the carnage as the moment Hamas finally puts resistance and decolonization into practice or something like that. It is truly disgusting. College campuses in the U.S. have become breeding grounds for unrepentant Jew hatred. Campus Reform's editor-in-chief Zachary Marschall has a front row view to a lot of it. Joining me now, Zach, good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, how do you, although I will say this, there's a big change happening. Les Wexner, the founder of Victoria's Secret, just pulled huge amounts of money out of Harvard. He says, we will no longer have anything to do with Harvard. I just saw other billionaires pulling money out of Penn, out of Yale. These endowments are taking a beating today and this week, and it's making it into the headlines now. When the billionaire class, many of whom are Jewish so far that are taking their money out, say, we're not going to play anymore, that has an impact, I believe. It's going to get their attention. What say you?
Absolutely, it is going to get their attention, and right now it's the only thing that looks like it can work because the moral rot in higher education is too deep and too systemic that there is no solution that's going to come from the inside. What we're seeing on campuses in the last week and a half is two generations in the making where liberal administrators who are now dealing with billionaires pulling out of their plan giving have been hiring and promoting radical professors who have silenced every voice of opposition and dissent on campus. So I'm hoping that these billionaires inspire more people to take action and that, everyday parents, when they're helping their kids choose their children's college, go to schools that reflect their values rather than ones that, tolerate anti-Semitism and tolerate the calling for violence against Jews.
Right. Everybody knows. Anybody who's ever gone to college at a four-year university in this country knows that every now and then you go to the mailbox and here's the Alumni Association and here's other letters from the university. Oh, could you pay for that? Could you give us money for that? And when people start saying, no, I'm not giving you a nickel, not just for this. This is one good reason not to give a nickel, but for your woke indoctrination on Black Lives Matter or diversity, equity, and inclusion, or pick your poison, right? Or books that are so graphic for little kids, whatever it is you're supporting, they're like, no, we're not giving you money anymore for that filth, for that twisted thinking, for that attack on America. This is one way we can finally get their attention and say, hey, we're done paying your freight. I mean, it's a good idea, isn't it? Just close the checkbook.
Exactly, and it's not like the universities don't have millions and sometimes billions to spend on these things. Universities, particularly the Ivy League, have gotten $8.5 billion in funding from Arab states over the last 35 years. They're spending hundreds of millions of dollars to open up campuses in Qatar and Abu Dhabi, and then working class Americans here are being priced out of being able to send their kids to college where they're not even getting value for their money anymore. The entire education system has become a sham, and I'm hoping that this is the catalyst for a complete overhaul of how these institutions are run.
And one more step while we're at it here, Zach, because I saw this, a lot of people saw this public school teacher in New York City calling the attack on unarmed civilians in Israel a successful military campaign. Based on that metric, apparently Auschwitz was a successful military campaign, murdering unarmed civilians that were completely defenseless, apparently in the eyes of people like that. That's a successful military campaign. It's beyond disgusting, and I like what Senator Tom Cotton said. If you're here on a work visa or a student visa and you support that and you go and you support Hamas or you support any other known terrorist group, I'm sorry, you're out of here. I agree with that. What do you say?
We have to start looking at those types of solutions and policies, because it's not just that one teacher. It's also professors at Cornell University, at Hunter College, at UC Irvine, and at Yale University who are perpetuating the same lies. One thing we've been doing at Leadership Institute's Campus Reform is reporting on those statements, but also on the leftist ideologies that inform that kind of hatred. One thing that Americans need to wake up to right now is that the left's ideologies are all interconnected, and they all work together to perpetuate anti-Semitism on campus. All this anti-Israel work, all of this so-called polite free expression type critiques of Israel are just a mask for letting people be allowed to hate Jews. These activists who are calling for intifada on campus, they don't see them as civilians. They see them as guilty and as war criminals. They don't even see the children who are being kidnapped.
It's the same way, exactly. The same way the twisted left accuses, oh, you're born white, therefore you're a racist and an evil person. Exactly. This kind of leftist thinking is going to be rooted out and exterminated. It has to be. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. All right. We'll get back to the news after this quick break and a message from our sponsor, Birch Gold. Last month, the G20 announced a plan to impose digital currencies and digital IDs on their respective populations. Central bank digital currencies essentially allow the government to track every purchase you make. They could even allow officials to stop you from buying the things you want. They could freeze or seize part or even all of your money. Don't believe it? Ask the folks in Greece what happened a few years ago. In essence, they enable the government to take control of your finances, period. Concerned Americans are diversifying their assets into physical gold with the help of the Birch Gold Group. If you want a physical asset held in a tax-sheltered retirement account, you should call Birch Gold too. But learn for yourself. Text America to 989898 and they'll send you a free information kit on gold. The easiest way to become a Birch Gold customer? Well, if you have an IRA or 401k from a previous employer and it's gathering dust over there, you forgot about it, Birch Gold can help you convert it into an IRA in gold and you don't pay a penny out of pocket. Text America to 989898. Claim your free information kit on gold, then call them. Because if digital currency becomes a reality, it'll be nice to have some gold to fall back on, wouldn't it? Yes, it would. All right, coming up after the break, America could be facing a food shortage this season. Really? Well, we'll look into it with the next guest, Joe Reek, right here on America's Voice Live.